Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. I am attorney Long Zi Lu. Today's episode is also about my uncle, the Master Xing Yun. So he passed about a month ago. But he has done so much. He changed lives of not just the many doesn't cut it. Not hundreds, not thousands, not millions, but tens of millions of people. We are actually the largest Buddhist temple in the entire world. The sheer fact that he was invited to Vatican by John Paul II, Benedict XVI. The sheer fact of that indicates that he was acknowledged by both popes as the pope in the Buddhist temple worldwide. Today's episode is very special because I have a very special guest, attorney Abraham Mudabachi. Not only Abe, he's an attorney. He actually worked with me for 6 years. To me, he's more than just a former colleague. He's more than just a fellow attorney. He's like a brother to me. Actually, later, as it turned out, more than just a brother to me, he actually also is a follower of my uncle, Abe. I want to say hi to everybody.
Good afternoon, everybody. And exactly as David was saying, Master Xing Yun, he took Buddhism to a different level. And one day when somebody asked him, Master, how did you establish hundreds of temples? How did you do all this? Master said, it's very easy. I just give. And that's exactly what Master Xing Yun was known for. He was known for bringing the Dharma to the people. He was known for humanistic Buddhism. And what that was is that he brought the good deeds as far as the schools, orphanages, helping the sick, feeding the hungry, teaching the illiterate how to read and write. He was known for bringing Buddhism to the people and helping everybody. That is why he is not just a master in the Foguang Shang sect, but he is also known as somebody who has brought the light to them in this world.
As everybody knows, that there is a very large temple, Shila Temple, in Los Angeles. A Shila Temple actually is and has been the largest Buddhist temple since the construction of which was completed. So it's actually in Hacienda Heights area. So Shila Temple is also one of our temples, not only in America, but we have temples all over the world. Not only we have Shila Temple in Los Angeles, but we also have temples in New York, in San Diego, San Francisco, San Jose, Miami, Houston, Dallas, Boston, you name it. Every single major city in America, we have a temple. So what our temples do is not just a place where you can go learn Dharma. It's not just a place where you can go to pray. Actually, we do more, way more than that. What more do we do? Abe will give you all the details.
So as we were discussing earlier, what the master did was he brought Buddhism to the people, and not just as David was saying, just praying and worship, funeral services, which the people in the past, before the master established Guangshan, they knew Buddhism just to provide funeral services and that's it. But he changed all that. He changed it. He laid foundation to a more educated, illiterate, people who would learn how to draw art and draw calligraphy, learn languages and music, provide food to the needy and any other type of resources that humans may need. So if you look at any of the established temples, whether it be in Los Angeles or any other state or city, you will see that when you visit their website, and you can, just easily go online, Google it, and you'll see all the temples across the world. And if you click on their links, you will see that they provide a large number of services. And these services range from educational to spiritual. So if you'd like to learn a language, they provide that service. They educate. It's an active temple. It's not just a temple where you go there and you just worship. That's there, but there's more to it. They provide to the needy. If you're interested in learning how to play a musical instrument even, you will see that many of these temples do offer these services. So they really bring out the best of the individual. They look for that and they cultivate it.
Yes, yes. So our temples, they are not just, as Abel was saying, places where you can go pray, you can go worship. Actually, our temples, they are also, in many ways, they are also like schools, because we offer all kinds of classes. Whatever you want to learn, right? You want to learn a new language, especially, let's say, in America, a lot of Chinese immigrants, they have not been in America for long. They want to learn English, right? But so they obviously can enroll in community colleges. They can take ESL classes, but sometimes it's not always as easy. They can come to our temple. They can come to Shilla Temple. They can come to our temples in New York, in San Francisco. There will be free English classes, so you can learn a new language. You don't have to pay. In addition, you do not have to be a Buddhist. You could be a Christian. You don't have to have a religion. So you don't have to be a member of our organization. You can have that benefit. Not only that, right? Not only we cater toward immigrants, but also a lot of times, say, a whole family goes to the temple, right? So we have grandparents, we have parents, we have small children. The small children basically can, we do have activities or courses or classes where the small children can enjoy, can learn things in those classes. And also for people of senior age, for instance, right? There's like a dance classes for senior people, for people of senior age, especially for, say, grandmas, Chinese grandmas like to dance, right? Especially in China, actually, there's a dance called a Guangchang. That means that, women of senior age in China, often like to dance. You can learn that as well. So actually, in addition to those temples, functioning like schools, they also function like activities, not just for senior citizens, but also activities where you can do like at a preschool or elementary school or high schools. So the temple actually is sort of like not just a 4-in-1, like a many-in-1 center, many-in-1. This place where people from all walks of life, people from all age groups, they can go, they can spend time there, they can actually not only enjoy doing the activities there, but they can also learn things. They can improve improve themselves at the temple. So the temple actually is not only the temple is educational. Our temples are not only educational; they're also entertaining and informative. So that's why that's the only way or the best way that so we can bring Dharma, to the people. So basically, in addition to pray and worship, you can learn so much. Your lives can be enriched, in the temple, along with all the other family members. So this is more like one stop, like a one stop, where whatever you need, sort of like a buffet or food court, if you will. Right? You say, you know what? I'd love to get some steaks. If you say, no, I wanted some sushi. It doesn't matter what you want. Sushi, steak, Chinese food, kung pao chicken, whatever you want, we have it.
And that is exactly what the Master brought to this world. Before the Master Shingyun came into prominence, Buddhism was just a type of religion that just was known to provide funeral services, and that's it. But he changed all that. He changed it. He made it active. It's not about just funeral services. Like David was saying, now this is a type of cultural center, a place where not only do you come to worship, you come to socialize, meet people, you come to learn, which the Master thought was a very, very important thing. Education was key. That is why here in Rosemead, actually, he did establish a university, and it's also close to the temple. So education was very important. And at these temples, there is a lot of education, and there is no limit to educating yourself and learning. And you will go to the temple, and you will have the education. You will have art classes that will improve your creativity, your imagination as well. And that's why you would go to the temple, not just for worship, for all these other things. And that's what Master Shingyun changed about Buddhism. He brought it to a different level. He made it global. This isn't something just in China or in India, just in that area. This is something that is global now. This is Fo Guangshan's an organization that is across the United States, in most of the states in the United States, in Australia and other places as well. And it's brought the light, it's brought the Dharma, it's brought all that to every human, regardless of race and religion.
And the other thing that's also very important, though, is that culturally speaking, like Chinese people, my people, we don't really go to psychologists or psychiatrists if we actually have psychiatric or psychological issues, right? So we do one of the two things. One is that we go drinking, right? That's why there's no drinking age in China. Everybody drinks. It doesn't matter how small you are. You can be drinking at 10 years old. So the second thing we do is we go to the temple. So the temple actually serves as a psychiatric hospital or psychological hospital, a mental ward, if you will, So you go there, right? You socialize with the people. In addition to that, actually, you learn the ideas of humanistic Buddhism, right? So especially for Chinese immigrants or Chinese Americans, I think that's very important. One thing that sets that our temple different from a psychological hospital is that you don't have to pay; it's free. There will be people, trained professionals, talking to you about your problems. Right? Say, oh, my husband just dumped me. He ran off with my best friend. What should I do? I'm so sad, depressed, traumatized. I want to kill myself. What should I do? Right? So when you have issues like that, you go to our temples. There will be people there helping you, talking to you, making sure you're okay. What's more important? You learn the ideas, the philosophy of humanistic Buddhism. You can not only, you will calm down, you will, not be as stressed, you initially wanted to kill yourself, but later blah blah blah. It's not worth it. But what's more important though is that you realize that human emotions, they come and go, right? And or the other thing though is that's what humanistic Buddhism teaches, is that you have to learn at some point, you have to let it go, right? Letting it go, letting go of things, letting go of emotions is equally important as pursuing them, right? Also in Chinese culture, we have this idea, we have this terminology, it's called 缘分. I think the closest the translation of 缘分 is affinity, meaning that sort of like, it was sort of like by fate you met, and then you got into a relationship. The relationship lasted for 5 years. Also, it was by 缘分, by affinity, by fate, that the 5 years was all you got. So at the end of that 5 period, you have to let it go. You cannot hold on to something that's not for you anymore. Right? I think that all those ideas, all those notions, they are not only very important, they're very practical when it comes to solving real life problems, especially like emotional issues.
Exactly.
Right?
And
yeah.
And when it comes to humanistic Buddhism and all the different types of experiences and difficulties we have in life, I mean, one important thing that you'll see in the life of the master is the durability and the ability to go through difficult times. I mean, even his followers, especially as you see in his life, he goes through many difficulties. I mean, the Japanese invasion of China, then the civil war in China, then fleeing to Taiwan, difficulties. He lands in Taiwan, doesn't even speak the local dialect. They don't understand each other. And even after he starts getting established there, they still don't consider him as one of their own because he doesn't even speak their dialect. He's from mainland China. But he still drove through. He pushed through. And not only did people start to love him, visit him, seek advice from him, seek counsel from him, and his followers as well, but he's established to what's become the largest Buddhist temple in the world. And that's exactly what the type of advice and counsel you will see at the temples that you visit, whether it's here in Los Angeles or whether it's in New York. It's really the durability in difficult times, how to manage yourself during these difficult times, and really how to push through it rather than collapse. Let the difficulty really collapse on you and you collapse and start losing it.
Yeah. So I'll just give you two examples. One example would be that we actually have an orphanage in Taiwan, in Kaohsiung, which actually is also on the temple grounds as part of the temple. So the orphanage actually has been going on for over 50 years. We started over 50 years ago, but until this day, in the past 50 plus years, we have taken in every single baby, every single orphan that was delivered to the doorstep of the temple. So the transfer of the baby, the act of taking in the baby takes probably 2 minutes. Here's the baby. Either I don't want it, or I cannot afford it, or for some other reason, I cannot raise up the baby. Would you take it? The answer is always yes. Yes, give it to me. That 2-minute transfer for us, for him to be precise, it is a 20-year commitment. So we would raise up these babies like, that's your own child, that they're all your own children. Countless time, money, effort, was putting into it. At any given time, we would have at least 1,000 orphans in the orphanage. Can you imagine, the burden of maintaining such a huge orphanage, financially and otherwise? But we have stuck it out. So there were small meetings I was also part of. He always said, those orphans, right? So I understand. He understands that it's a huge financial burden to take care of them. But he said that what? When we're always expanding, we're always building temples, we're always buying land, we're always donating a lot of money to the people that need the money. Also, every single time if there's a natural disaster, we would always donate tens of millions of dollars. So for us, the money is always tight. But he said, you know what? If the money is tight, let's not buy the temple just right now. Let's not build the school just right now. Let's make sure the top priority is that is these babies, these orphans in the orphanage, they're well taken care of. What does that mean? That means that we will buy them new toys, new clothes, and at the Chinese New Year, they will get, as part of Chinese tradition, small children will get red pockets. Make sure we'll give them red pockets. And also we'll make sure that the new clothes, the new toys, the money in those red pockets compared to an average children, they will get better clothes, better toys, more expensive clothes, and more money in those red pockets. You know why? He said it's simple. Because they already feel bad by not having their parents being with them. Right? If their toys are not as expensive and not as new as toys other children have, they will feel bad. Right? They will lose self-esteem. He said, we will have to protect them. Not only have to protect their privacy, we have to protect their self-esteem at all costs. We want to make sure they grow up healthy, not just the physical, but otherwise as well. So he doesn't know any of those babies, but he raised them up as they were his own children. In the past 50 plus years, we have raised actually at least, I don't have an exact number, but the number always gets bigger and bigger. Tens and thousands of. One time actually I went back to Taiwan, I was taking a taxi, I was asking the taxi driver, I said, well, I'm going to Foguangshan, I'm going to the money store. Do you know how to get it? He said, yes, of course. I'm very familiar with it. I was like, how so? He said, well, I was raised in an orphanage. You see? So that's kind of person he is. He genuinely has so much love, for people, for babies, for children. Talk is cheap. He does it. The second thing though is that we have so many temples across the world. And if you are a Buddhist monk or you're Buddhist nun, you come to a temple, right? You can stay in the temple because for all our temples we have dorms, so we have attached either hotels or motels. You can live there, you can eat there, Definitely. We said, you know what? I'm going to live there for 5 years. Fine. You live there for 5 years. You don't have to do anything for us. because you know what? If you don't want to, you want to live there for 10 years, you can live there for 10 years. Or there is people who have been living in our temples for a very long time. If you leave, and will pay for your travel expenses. You know why? Because you're one of us. You're Buddhist, as long as you're Buddhist monk, you're Buddhist now. You don't have to be part of our denomination, our school. So that's how open-minded he is. He often says, you do not have to be a Buddhist. As a matter of fact, you don't even have to be religious. He's entirely cool with you not being a Buddhist, with you not being even religious at all. He thinks having a big heart is more important than anything else. There were times, one time I was at a big meeting, very big, important meeting, and there were people from media outlets. They were saying that, he was the one that brought Buddhism to America. He said, no, I did not do that. It was those hundreds, about 100 years ago. That was the first wave of Chinese immigrants. People from China that came to America to build railroads. Generally speaking, they were not that educated at all. They were, to be precise, they were illiterate. They cannot even read. Not just they cannot read English, they cannot read Chinese either. But in their mind, they have very simple moral standards. In a sense that they just believe in, quite simple. I don't mean that, bad moral standards. They just think that, as a person, I need to be honest. When I do things, I need to give all I have got, all I got. I need to be responsible. They have a sense of loving people. They have a sense when it comes to work, when it comes to doing things, they have a sense of responsibility. He said, if you have these two things, having a big heart, having a sense of responsibility, you are a good Buddhist. Although you probably don't even know what Buddha is. That's not important. That's how open-minded he is. A lot of times, he doesn't necessarily see Buddhism as a religion. He sees it as a philosophy. He sees it as life lessons for people where they can benefit from.
And one important thing, we were discussing how the master made big issue of the orphanages. Another big issue he had was with hunger. The master had seen very difficult times in China. As we were discussing earlier, there was the Japanese invasion of China and then the civil war in China. And there were times when he decided to be a monk, I believe it was at age 12, there were times there was no food. I mean, he had to live in hunger, had to eat the spoils, live through the spoils, very, very difficult times. And that left an impression on the master. And as time went by and he came to prominence, he would always make sure to go and provide food for the hungry, feed the needy. And that's why if you even look at some of the websites for the temples right now, you'll see that they do provide food services as well. And that's because that was something very special to him. That was something that he felt on his own skin. He saw around him. He saw his friends and fellow monks and others go through that difficulty. And that he made an aspiration and he met to that aspiration. And that could be seen amongst the temples that he's established. So like orphanages, like hunger, and also similarly education, that was a very big element that he made sure that his temple and his peers and his organization really met to that standard. Provide home for the needy, food for the needy, teach the illiterate how to read, write, and he brought those all to the people. He didn't wait for the people to come to them. He didn't just sit somewhere and say, "Oh, whoever's going to need it, let them come." No, he brought his organization to the people. And until today, You can go on these websites. You can go to the temples. I'm sure when you go on the website, you'll see some temples located around your vicinity, and you can go out there. You can go there. You can meet the people. You can see what the organization's about. You can read the books out there. And another thing about the master, he had devoured these books. He's read a lot, and you'll see when you write his name, you research, he's written countless books. And you'll get an opportunity, a chance to read his books, read his writings, and learn from it, and learn from his students and fellow monks as well. So I really recommend you go on the website, you find your local chapter, temple, and you visit it.
There's also one thing he did. A lot of people do not know is that he changed America. People say, "Well, that's a pretty big statement to make. What do you mean he changed America?" So what happened was that many years ago, actually, there was no O1 visa that was for actually religious people or people who work for religious organizations. Because of his actions, because of what he did, through some rather influential politicians at the time, such as Edward Kennedy. He actually was the brother of JFK, John F. Kennedy. So, actually, new laws were passed to allow priests, and not just the Buddhist monks, but also people, preachers or priests for other religion. They can come to America, on that specific visa. Prior to that, if you were a preacher or a priest, you want to come to America to preach, the only visa you can use actually was a B1 or B2 visa. They were tourist visas. Actually, what you will be doing, which is preaching, is not consistent with the purpose for B1 or B2 visas, meaning that you could be in violation of immigration fraud or visa fraud, right? So you can really sort of like preach officially. Otherwise, you would always worry about getting into trouble with the law because, you do not have the proper visa because there was no proper visa. And he saw the problem. It was a lot of effort, it was a lot of work, but he made sure new laws were passed. So people who, they're either priests or people who work for religious organizations, or researchers, teachers, they can come to America to preach. Why is that important? I will tell you why. I'm in a training. Not only that, actually, I taught U.S. Constitution at a local high school in Orange County, California, right? So the essence of America is not our nuclear arsenal. It's not, the high tech. It's not like big companies like Google or Facebook or Apple. It's our core values. It's our value system, which is best reflected by U.S. Constitution, out of which the most important one would be the First Amendment of U.S. Constitution. That's freedom of speech. For freedom of speech, freedom of religion is an integral part of freedom of speech, meaning that freedom of religion actually is the essence of American values, which is what makes America America, right? But can you imagine if you're a priest, you cannot come to America to preach, you cannot come to America to promulgate. It doesn't have to be Buddhism. It could be some other religions, for instance, Christianity, Hinduism, whatever that is. How can you exercise freedom of religion? Because, people cannot preach, right? The freedom of religion will not be practical, so you cannot really properly or functionally exercise that freedom. So he saw the problem. You know, I'm sure a lot of people saw the problem too, but they will be like, oh, this is not something I can do. Let it go. But he did not let it go. He did a lot of things. He made a lot of efforts. He met a lot of people. He changed that law. He made sure new law was passed. So people, not just the Buddhist monks, but priests for other religions, they can come to America, they can preach, they can build temples, they can do sermons, they can do all sorts of things. So meaning that what he did made America more America.
Yeah. Again, it's going back to the elements of humanistic Buddhism, and he's actually very known for that term. I think if you research that term, humanistic Buddhism, it'll come out to a term that the master would refer to, which is bring in all this dharma, bring in all this great things to the people. And through the O1 visa, where religious monks, priests, and whatnot can come and access the states in order to preach, that's exactly right in line with the elements that he had in mind, is not just sitting idle, not just sitting and meditating 24/7. No, we go out to the people. We're active. We sent people from our temples, say in Taiwan, to the United States, to different parts of the state, go out there, reach out to different people, get to their needs. And one thing that the master was really keen at was that he knew what, say, a certain individual or certain people needed. And he thought and he knew that every person, it doesn't matter rich or poor, dumb or educated, whatever it is, there's something they need. And it's about really getting to what they need, providing that service, that knowledge, that care, whatever it may be, to get to what that needing aspect is of that person. And through this visa system, obviously now there is a temple here, at least if you're in Los Angeles, the Shilai Temple in Hacienda Heights. I mean, there has been a big establishment, not just in Boguanshan, but other religions as well, where people would have access to other people's in need, really going out there and providing what they need.
So, as I was saying, so the important thing though, actually, is not about having all those temples around the world, you know. So the important thing is about having those ideas of humanistic Buddhism. A lot of people, they see religion, they always say, oh, you know what, I'm a Christian, you know, I'm a Catholic. That has nothing to do with it. The way I see it, actually, I took classes on religion extensively when I was in college. The way I see it, you know, there is a common denominator for all religions, right? Which is to love people. You know, love is power, which actually in Chinese or in humanistic Buddhism, we also have exactly the same idea. You know, so compassion, with a compassion is power, which is very similar to love is power, because compassion comes from love, right? So if you don't see humanistic Buddhism as a religion, if you see it as a way of life, your eyes open up. It's not about how powerful, how influential, how connected, how great he was. It's about his ideas, you know, such as equality. You know, equality, men and women, adults and children, you know, regardless of their gender, regardless of their age group, regardless of their nationality. Everybody is equal. That actually is exactly the same idea as equal protection clause in U.S. Constitution, in the California Constitution, the 14th Amendment, right? We have equal protection clause. We have no discrimination clause. Because in humanistic Buddhism, we believe in equality. We believe in no discrimination. That's exactly the same idea, not only as the U.S. Constitution, but also as some other laws, such as the Title VII, right? Civil Rights Act, 1964 Civil Rights Act. So all those ideas, all those thoughts, all those philosophies, in essence, it's the same thing. That's why we have built so many temples, because we have so many, not just millions, but tens or even hundreds of millions followers. They need us. To be precise, they don't need us. They need that idea. They need to know. They believe in equality. They believe in no discrimination. They believe in mutual respect amongst the people. So a lot of people say, well, I actually, I know him or know of him really well. I believe in humanistic Buddhism. What is the best way to show my respect to him, to remember him? It's simple. As he was saying in Chinese, you say kind words, you do good deeds, you have a big heart. That, as he put it, is the best way to remember him. So having a big heart, stop arguing with your wife. Start treating your parents better. Spending more time with your children. People try to argue with you. Take a step back. Maybe they're just mad. Maybe they're just frustrated. Maybe they're just having a bad day. That's what I meant by having a big heart. I'm not there yet myself. I get upset easily. I've been working on my temper for the past probably almost 50 years. But I'm improving. So I want you to do the same thing.
One time, there was a great story. So some follower comes to the master and says, "Master, is there a certain way to really define the folk Guashan temples and its followers? Are they rich? Are they poor? Are they of such nationality? I mean, how do you define it? Are they of certain color, the temples and all that? I mean, the architecture, is it Chinese, Taiwanese? What is it?" Well, the master says, it's not this, it's not that, it's everything. It's all that. And that's exactly what it is. The master had a way, to what David was saying, with a big heart, to get what people get to what people wanted, to provide what the need was. He would provide, whatever that was, whether it was food, education, worship, meditation, when there were grievances, when their family member would pass away, funeral services and whatnot. And it's everything. It's all that. It's not one specific definition. It's not one specific way, architecture, color, size, shape. There was no single definition to it, but it's everything. And that's because it has different types of followers. It has different types of needs and wants, and it provides services to all that. That's exactly what it is.
As the saying goes, you take, you make a leap. You give, you make a life. That's why my uncle, the master, made us such a great life. Not only that, he made a difference in the lives, not hundreds, not thousands, not tens of thousands, but hundreds of millions of people. Thank you all for watching.
Thank you.